Did you know that over 2,000 blended families are formed every day in this country, and parenting styles are a huge issue for them? I heard a case this morning where the couple has no idea how to agree on issues that involve their kids. Here is what happened when they came to divorce court.
Divorce court is now in session.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with Detrick Donta Terrell and Frances Nichelle Fancy Terrell. I love that name. You two have been married for 3 years. About 3 years. You've got 6 kids between you.
Yes.
You are right at the end of the divorce process, but you're having trouble, number one, navigating the children, how to take care of them and what to do. There's a question about a lease and should you resign and what are you going to do. And I do believe, I'm not sure, but there is a hint that you're not sure it's really what you want.
Right, correct.
So with that as our starting point, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Terrell. Why don't you tell me how we've gotten here today?
We can't seem to let go of the past. And it comes to haunt us.
Well, what piece of the past is causing you the most concern?
When I returned from a combat tour in 2008, we separated, and I didn't feel like that was the best thing to do. We were engaged to be married at the time. We had also become pregnant with our twins, and we went our separate ways.
Why did you separate?
Well, I got another job with the military, and it was in my hometown. Mrs. Terrell didn't want to move there because of things I told her about my family. She felt that it was in the best interest of her and the children to go back to her hometown, and I've been harboring resentment since then.
Now, Mrs. Terrell, let me ask you a question. He comes back from a tour of duty, and the military tells him to go somewhere. How is it that you can say anything other than, okay, baby, let's go?
Well, because I've been in the military too, and I'm not saying my experience was like his experience, but we had issues way before he went. It just exacerbated what was going on with him when he came back.
Well, what were the issues that you were having before he ever left?
Well, he has a weed issue. You know, he likes to smoke. When he got back, it just got worse and worse and worse, and I'm sure it's because of the things he saw over there. You know, he medicated himself. It was just crazy. Like he was starved for attention that I couldn't give him, because right when he came back, I got pregnant with our twins. You know, I was in school, I was working, I was doing a lot, and I was telling him to go see somebody, and he felt like I was just pushing him out the door, but I felt like I needed to save myself and my children.
Mr. Terrell, were you rolling like Snoop Dogg with a puff of marijuana smoke around you everywhere you go?
I was, Your Honor. It wasn't to the extent that Mrs. Terrell described, but I did partake in marijuana. It was to drown out some of the things and some of the images that I had seen overseas.
Did you see it as becoming a problem? Did you see the amount of weed you were smoking as interfering with your daily life and being a husband and a father?
Not until she filed for the divorce. It became crystal at that point. And so...
where were the kiddies?
Well, they were at home with her or out with her. You know, I'd do it when she wasn't home and when they weren't home, or I'd go to a friend's house in the evening, or, you know, things of that nature. When I returned home, I had a block of leave, and so during the day she'd be at work, and, you know, I'd be with, you know, my friends and stuff.
And the kids were at school?
They were at school or at camp.
He smoked when they was in the house. He would come in like Cheech and Chong Hai, trying to find everything in the house to eat. I'm serious. Like, you can tell the difference from when he's high and when he's not high. He was very removed from the family. You know, he only wanted to go outside and smoke. When he wasn't smoking, he would take himself in the room and like kind of zone out. And I understood there was an issue there. And it's not that I was trying to be mean, but something needed to be done.
She was very mean. She didn't want to talk to me about what I'd seen over there. I wanted to talk to her about certain things. She focused on the fact that she was pregnant, she was going through her own issues, and basically pushed me out the door and said, hey, you go get help for that. And
that's not how it went
down. It's kind of like it is now.
Were you less than, I mean, because I don't know if I can imagine what he's seen over there, and it's got to be huge, and it's got to be a difficulty. Isn't part of your role as his wife is is helping him carry a heavy load when he's burdened with one?
If he's cursing around my kids, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a therapist. I don't know how to handle it other than to tell him to go see one.
How about ask me what's wrong?
That's true. I've always actually, we had
No,
a
you
matter of fact,
haven't.
this last time
haven't.
before he started smoking again, we sat in the car, we had a conversation about whether he should smoke or not. He said he would stop. He stopped for 6 months, and then he said, well, I think I'm gonna smoke again. And then the problem started again. He started spending like $700 a month on weed.
It wasn't that much.
It was high.
Well, let me ask you
We couldn't
something
pay
else,
the
Mr.
mortgage.
Terrell, and I can't disrespect what you've seen or what you've gone through or what psychological issues you may have as a function thereof, but did it ever occur to you that maybe you should see a therapist? It's cheaper than $700 a month in weed.
Your Honor, it wasn't $700 a month in weed, and I did go see a therapist when I got back.
Did it help?
It did, actually.
Did it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Did you two ever decide to go to marriage counseling together?
We've been in and out of marriage counseling over the past few years. We'll go for a few sessions. We get
And what
married.
did they tell you? What did they say wrong? What did they say you're doing wrong? What did they say she's doing wrong?
The main thing is communication and trust. But the problem is when we go in there, we'll go through a few sessions. The counselors say, hey, you guys are on the right track. You understand what the issues are, but we just can't seem to get through the past. And then whatever we're arguing about that week or that day, we take it into the marriage counseling session and blow up at each other.
He wanted to go play ball. Well, I bought him the money, and he cursed me out in front of my children.
Mr. Terrell, did that occur?
It did occur, Your Honor.
Divorce isn't easy. If you need help with your breakup, call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Mrs. Terrell, you say that you don't like the way he speaks to you. Can you be specific about the things he says that upset you?
Yes, there's times where we're having a heated debate, and it doesn't always happen where we can pull away from the kids. And he called me out of my name, called me a female dog in front of the kids, or he'll get heated. We both throwing stuff, but he'll say stuff like, this is my house, you can get out, I'll see you out of my house. And it's never just ours together. It's always his stuff. He always wants to make it like he's the provider and I don't do anything. I've been, taking care of my kids for 5 years without a job when we were separated without child support, and he always feels like he can come in at the last minute and run things and just talk to me any old kind of way in front of my kids. The one particular time just recently, he needed some money, and I was in the middle of my study group. I left to go catch the bank, ran to the house. It was his weekend with the kids, and he wanted to go play ball. Well, I bought him the money, and he cursed me out in front of my children.
Mr. Terrell, did that occur?
It did occur, Your Honor. She came in with an attitude, and I just asked her to take our baby girl for an hour so she could meet her hair appointment because we were going to, I believe that was the father-daughter dance that night. And I just needed her to take her for an hour so that I could get...
That wasn't the father-daughter dance.
Whatever
That
it
was her ballet.
Okay, her
recital.
ballet recital that evening, and so she needed to prepare for that. And I had a previous engagement. I was playing baseball at the time, and so I just needed her to take her for an hour. It was my weekend, but we do that. When she has school at night, I keep the kids.
And her response was what?
Her response was, well, it's your weekend, you take the kids, and I said, I just need it for an hour. She's like, well, that's not my problem, things of that nature. And I got upset, and I did curse her out.
It's kind of true that it was your weekend.
Yes.
And the presumption that she ought to take care of your child and she doesn't have any of the child and she didn't have anything else to do is not correct, right?
Right.
Right. And you're sitting here talking to me about an incident. You sound like a very reasonable, calm guy. How come you can't be reasonable and calm when you speak to her?
Because of her attitude, Your Honor. She has this attitude
He's a chameleon. He knows how to blend.
Well, that doesn't help. I'm going to tell you right now, not allowing someone to finish their sentences not only doesn't allow you to understand what they're saying, but it also shows a sign of gross disrespect because you're not worth being heard because I'm going to speak while you're speaking. So that's where that is.
And that's
But what I would want to tell you, Mr. Terrell, is this: as a man, one ought never, ever call the mother of his children bad names. I mean, you know, that's something that you don't do. It's below your moral code. It's so low you can't go.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I mean? That's a rule.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a rule. And I will say to both of you, a conversation hardly ever turns out better than it starts out. So if you start out with an attitude, it'll end up in a bad place. If you start out with, hey, talk to him like you're talking to me.
Yeah, I do. When I went
she
there,
doesn't.
when I
Very
went,
disrespectful.
What did
Your
I
Honor.
just say about interrupting people? What did I just say?
Yes, ma'am.
when I went there to bring him the money, I didn't have to stop what I was doing. I was getting help from my studies. I went to give him the money. I had no attitude. The attitude came in when I wouldn't do what he wanted me to do, and that happens all the time. The week prior, he just went to Boston, which is his week, was his weekend as well. It's like every time he has to do something, I'm supposed to step in and be the babysitter.
Did you go to Boston on your weekend and leave the kids with her again?
I did, Your Honor. However, she, I believe a week or two after that, she went to Atlanta and New York and stayed for 5 days. And just 6 months ago, she went back home and stayed for 5 days, and I kept the kids. And in addition to that, when she goes to school at night, on the days that I don't have the kids, I take them so she can go to school. Mm-hmm. So there's a give and take there, Your Honor. I mean, it's not like, you know, she's always stuck with the kids when I have something to do. She has things to do as well, and I take the children.
Did you just fly out
No.
from nowhere and
No,
just
Your
flop
Honor.
papers
Yes.
on
Let
the
me-
man?
let me
Or
tell
did you
you-
give him an opportunity
Let me
to talk
tell you
to
what led up
No.
to this divorce.
Do you agree with Francis that Detrick misbehaved in front of the children? Vote now. Call 855-70-DIVORCE. Make your vote count. Call 855-70-DIVORCE and get your exclusive offers. If you would like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Divorce Court. Mrs. Terrell, you say that Mr. Terrell has stepped out on your marriage multiple times. Is that true?
Well, not on our marriage multiple times. Before we got married, he stepped out, and that was one of the reasons why we separated. But after we separated this last time, he did step out. We were separated for like 2 months, and he was saying he wanted to work on it. We were still sleeping together, and he ended up having a relationship with somebody else, wasn't forthcoming with it. And he still, up to this day, doesn't think that it's cheating. But if you want to work on a relationship with me, you're not, one, sleeping with me still while you're sleeping with somebody else, and two, you know, lying. If you felt like a man, you felt like you want to step out and do that, don't say that, you know, oh, I mean, he shouldn't have lied to me from the beginning. Just come out and said, I slept with somebody.
Right. Mr. Terrell, your response?
Your Honor, I wasn't cheating on her. She filed for divorce and kicked me out of the house. So what was I supposed to do? Sit back and just...
Oh, you know, I understand that part. I guess the part I need clarified is this. Were you telling her we're trying to work on a relationship and trying to get back together and you were still sleeping with her? Was that occurring?
Your Honor, I was not sleeping with both of them at the same time, and she didn't come to me...
You know, letting an hour pass doesn't mean, you know, you're not sleeping with them at the same time.
It was more than an hour, Your Honor. This happened with the other young lady in the matter of a few weeks, and that was it. It was a brief stint with someone else. She was showing me attention, you know, and affection, and stuff I wasn't getting
You
from
know,
her.
between the time I was 24 and 27, I never had a boyfriend. Didn't sleep with nobody, nothing. I was reading books and going to museums. You know what? Is this all you guys got to do? Do you understand something? You know, your marriage isn't working out, so there's 2 or 3 weeks that you're not together. You got to go find somebody else to sleep with. Is your life that vacant, that void, that there's nothing else to fill the time with other than some nookie?
No. No, Your Honor, I didn't go out looking for a young lady. She actually came and found me. I wasn't even thinking like that. I was just trying to pick up the pieces of my life that had shattered all of a sudden. She came home one day because she was mad about a concert I didn't take her to and said I filed for a divorce.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It
I
didn't-
don't think that happened.
Your Honor,
No, Your
I
we
don't
were supposed to
think
go
that
to a
happened.
Maxwell
That doesn't make any
concert,
sense.
and we got into an argument earlier that day. I didn't take her to the Maxwell concert. She ended up going by herself. I went to my friend's house. The next day, the next afternoon, she came home and said, I filed for a divorce.
But I don't think it wasn't because of the Maxwell.
was
It was
nothing to
because of
do.
the argument before Maxwell. Do you see what I
Right.
mean? So you're attributing it to something silly when it was something else altogether. See what I'm saying?
I do, and she's not silly. And maybe she had a reason to file for the divorce, but I felt like it was a drastic move. We had just been married a few years. I don't think things were that bad for her to go and file for divorce.
Did you file? Did you just fly out
No.
from nowhere and
No,
just
Your
flop
Honor.
papers
Yes.
on
Let
the
me-
man?
let me
Or
tell
did you
you-
give him an opportunity
Let
to
me
talk
tell you
to
what
you?
led up
No,
to this
she didn't.
divorce. When we had been going through our stuff, our issues. Before we got married, my husband took the kids and didn't want to bring them back. I had to go to court to get my children back. So after that, it was like, you cannot have my children without me. We ended up connecting. We ended up remembering why we cared about each other. And it was, okay, well, if you move to Texas. I said, I'm not moving to Texas without papers. So he was like, well, if you move to Texas, I'll marry you. As soon as we get to Texas, he has family members staying with him. He's supposed to go out of town on a military, some TDY. Then he brings another relative in. This isn't a matter of 2 weeks that we get married. It was just crazy.
I got it. Yes, it was crazy. I get it. Still is crazy. There's always a whole lot going on in divorce court that people want to talk about. If you have something you want to say, join us on Twitter @Divorce Court, or jump on our Facebook page and see what everybody's talking about on there. Sometimes you people get heated. Don't miss it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought I was gonna come out here and weave my way through whatever chaos you guys have, figure out what the communication issue was, and not solve all your problems, but at least illuminate what the areas of contention are, not specifically, but about how you deal with each other and how you contact. You have no personal insight. Mr. Terrell, I think you're just mad, and you're staying mad. And I don't think you can work this out, and I think you have to decide that you can't work this out. I think you haven't come to that conclusion yet, but I see nothing, there's nothing here that puts you on the same plane together. You guys can't even see the same argument or the same situation for being what it is because you are so encased in your own position. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all, it was you, it was you, it was you, it was you. And if you're at that place, and if counselors couldn't get you off of that place, I can't get you there. What I will leave you here is this. Number one, I'm going to order you to go see my therapist because she specializes in what you guys are going to. Number two, there are rules to this thing. There are rules to being successfully separated. One of them is you don't do anything to the mother of your children you don't want to do to your children. If she is destabilized, your children are destabilized. She holds them up, you kick out her legs, she falls on top of them. You conduct yourself like you're in the Army. You are rigid about what you say, when you say it, and how you say it. You stay calm and you remain calm. No one can make you angry. You simply fall into it. No one can make you angry. They just can't. Mrs. Terrell, stop being mad about stuff you can't fix anymore. Stop counting up all the wrong stuff that he did. Stop living in that. What you need to do is live from today forward. You got to figure out how this guy, who is no longer going to call me out my name, who is no longer going to curse at me, who is no longer going to be nasty to me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How I can conduct myself with this guy in a manner that keeps my kids from going crazy. And every time you have an opportunity to do something to make it easier for him, you do it. Every time you have the opportunity to do something to make it easier for her, you do it. Don't do it for her. Don't do it for him. Do it for your children. They grow up in a house of crazy, they come out crazy. And then they live with you forever as crazy people. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you can make a decision that it was all past, and I determined from today forward the foundation of my children's lives. You got that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm ordering you to that therapist, and I wish you both the best of luck. This matter is adjourned. I could have stayed out there with Detrick and Francis all day trying to figure out what their issues were, but that wasn't the point. The point is you can always make a decision about how you're going to conduct yourself. No matter how crazy the situation is, no matter how unpleasant the person is, you can always make a decision to act like you got some sense.